Imagine a world where history's signposts point in a completely different direction. A world where the smallest twist of fate, a single decision, or a moment's hesitation could have rewritten the story of humanity as we know it. Picture the endless possibilities, the roads not taken, and the empires that might have risen or fallen if just one battle had ended differently. This is a world built on the bones of countless pasts that never came to be. Every shattered column and weathered stone tells the story of a civilization that once dreamed of immortality, only to be swept away by the tides of war and time. These ruins are silent witnesses to the fragile nature of destiny. So often the fate of entire civilizations turns on a single bloody patch of ground. In the chaos of battle, with mud clinging to boots and fear thick in the air, the future of millions can be decided in mere moments. The clash of swords and the thunder of hooves echo through history, shaping the world in ways those present could never imagine. Today, let's dive into epic battles that changed everything, not just tactics and generals, but the very future of languages, religions, and empires. These were moments when the world held its breath, and the outcome would ripple across continents and centuries, altering the course of human civilization forever. The men who fought in these battles had no idea they were shaping millennia to come. For them, it was about surviving the next 10 minutes, the next charge, the next desperate stand. Their hopes, fears, and courage were as real as ours, even as they stood on the edge of history. Their struggle, their terror, their sacrifice created the world we live in now. Every fallen shield, every broken sword is a testament to the price paid for the world we inherited. The echoes of their bravery and loss still resonate in our lives, in our cultures, and in the very borders of our nations. Let's pull back the curtain of time and stand in the shoes of the soldier, the commander, the king. Imagine the weight of command, the uncertainty of battle, and the dreams of glory or survival that drove them forward. Through their eyes, we can glimpse the true cost and consequence of war. We'll explore the chaos, genius, and luck that decided who won, who lost, and why it mattered. Behind every victory and defeat lies a web of strategy, chance, and human willpower. Forces that have shaped the destinies of nations and the lives of ordinary people for generations. These are the battles that made us who we are. They are the hinges of fate upon which the doors of history have swung, opening new worlds and closing others forever. Join us as we journey through the turning points that forged our past and continue to shape our future. Imagine yourself as a Macedonian soldier in 331 BC, standing on the dusty plains of Gaugamela. The sun is just beginning to rise, casting a golden glow over the land. Before you stretches the might of Darius III's Persian army, a force so immense it seems to swallow the horizon. Their banners flutter in the wind and the ground trembles beneath the feet of countless soldiers, chariots, and war elephants. The sheer scale is overwhelming, and you can feel the tension in the air as your comrades steel themselves for what lies ahead. You're one of just 47,000 Macedonians, facing what feels like an endless sea of enemies, some say hundreds of thousands. The odds are staggering, and the fear is real, but so is the resolve that binds you to your brothers in arms. At the center of it all stands your commander, Alexander. He's young, but his confidence is unshakable. He refuses to attack under the cover of darkness, insisting on fighting in the full light of day. He wants the world to witness this battle, to shatter not just the Persian army, but the very spirit of their empire. His calm inspires you, and his vision is clear. This is more than a battle, it's a turning point in history. The stakes could not be higher. If Alexander fails, Greece will remain fractured, vulnerable to future invasions, and the Persian Empire will continue its dominance over the known world. The fate of civilizations hangs in the balance. Darius commands every advantage. His army is vast, equipped with deadly scythed chariots, towering war elephants, and the legendary immortals. Elite soldiers feared across continents. The Persians are confident, their numbers alone a weapon meant to intimidate and overwhelm. But Alexander is no ordinary general. He thrives on the unexpected, reading the battlefield like a master strategist. Every move is calculated, every risk weighed. He studies the enemy, searching for the slightest weakness. With a bold maneuver, Alexander shifts his army obliquely, drawing the Persians out and forcing Darius to stretch his lines thin. The battlefield becomes a chessboard, and Alexander is always thinking several moves ahead. Suddenly a gap appears in the Persian ranks, subtle, almost invisible to most, but not to Alexander. He spots the opportunity in an instant, his mind racing with possibilities. Without hesitation, Alexander leads his elite companion cavalry straight into the breach, driving deep into the heart of the Persian formation. His target is clear: Darius himself, the symbol of Persian power. The sight of Alexander charging sends shockwaves through the Persian ranks. Darius, gripped by fear, abandons his chariot and flees the battlefield, his confidence shattered. When the god king deserts his own army, panic spreads like wildfire. The once mighty Persian force collapses in chaos, soldiers throwing down their weapons and fleeing for their lives. In a single day, the Persian Empire loses not just a battle, but its very will to exist. The symbols of their power lie broken on the field, and the ancient world is forever changed. Alexander's victory at Gaugamela is more than a military triumph. It marks the dawn of a new era. The Hellenistic Age begins, reshaping history, culture, and the destiny of empires for centuries to come. 1066. Harold Godwinson, exhausted from fighting Vikings, faces William of Normandy's invasion. William brings a new world feudal French-speaking castle building. Harold's army forms a shield wall atop Senlac Hill, elite housecarls and local levies all on foot. For hours, the wall holds against Norman cavalry. William rallies his men after rumors of his death, but the Saxons stand firm. Then, Norman cavalry feign retreat. Some Saxons break formation to pursue. The Normans turn and cut them down. William repeats the tactic, weakening the wall. As dusk falls, archers rain arrows over the shields. One strikes Harold in the eye. The king falls, the wall collapses, and the Normans surge forward. England is forever changed. 1. Napoleon returns from exile facing Wellington's coalition and Blücher's Prussians in Belgium. Napoleon's plan: defeat Wellington before the Prussians arrive. Rain delays the battle, giving the Prussians time. French assaults batter Wellington's lines, but the British hold, anchored by fortified farmhouses. Wellington waits, hoping for Prussian reinforcements. Napoleon commits his elite Imperial Guard in a final charge. For a moment, it looks like they'll break through. But Wellington's foot guards rise and unleash devastating volleys. The Imperial Guard falters, then breaks. Prussian columns slam into Napoleon's flank. The French army collapses. Napoleon's rule ends forever. The Napoleonic era is over. A new European order is born in the mud of Waterloo. 1942. The world is at war, and the fate of millions hangs in the balance. In the East, a new and brutal chapter is about to unfold. A battle that will come to define the struggle between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. Hitler's armies surge deep into Soviet territory, driven by a relentless obsession to capture Stalingrad, a city that bears Stalin's name and stands as a gateway to the oil-rich Caucasus. The German advance seems unstoppable, leaving scorched earth and shattered villages in its wake. Stalingrad becomes more than a strategic target, it is a symbol of pride and power. For Hitler, its capture would be a personal triumph. For Stalin, its defense is a matter of national survival. Both leaders refuse to back down, turning the city into a stage for total war. The battle descends into chaos. Urban warfare transforms the city into a nightmare of close-quarters combat. Soldiers fight for every street, every building, every floor. The Germans call it Rattenkrieg, rat war, where the front lines are measured in meters, not miles. The ruins become deadly traps. Soviet snipers and machine gunners turn every pile of rubble into a kill zone, making the attackers pay dearly for every advance. The defenders use the devastation to their advantage, blending into the shattered landscape. Soviet troops hug the enemy, fighting at point-blank range to neutralize German tanks and artillery. The fighting is relentless, with bayonets, grenades, and submachine guns echoing through the ruins. Neither side gives quarter. As winter sets in, the German Sixth Army finds itself trapped in the city's ruins. Outside, Soviet forces quietly gather, preparing for a massive counteroffensive. The Red Army's plan is bold: encircle the invaders and cut them off from escape. In November, Operation Uranus is unleashed. Soviet pincers slam shut around Stalingrad, trapping over 300,000 German soldiers inside a frozen hell. The tables have turned. Hitler forbids any retreat, insisting the Luftwaffe can supply the encircled army by air. But the airlift is a disaster. Planes are shot down, supplies fall short, and hope fades with each passing day. Inside the pocket, German soldiers face starvation, disease, and the merciless Russian winter. Frostbite and hunger claim more lives than bullets. Desperation sets in as rations dwindle and ammunition runs out. In January 1943, Field Marshal Paulus, once confident of victory, is forced to surrender. Of the hundreds of thousands trapped, only a fraction survived to see captivity. The Battle of Stalingrad shatters the myth of German invincibility. It marks a decisive turning point on the Eastern Front as the Red Army begins its long, bloody push toward Berlin. 1. Lee invades the North, seeking a decisive victory at Gettysburg. The armies collide by chance in a small Pennsylvania town. The Union forms a strong defensive line on the hills. Savage fighting rages: Little Round Top, the wheat field, the peach orchard. On the second day, the 20th Maine, out of ammunition, charges with bayonets, saving the Union flank. On the third day, Lee gambles on Pickett's charge, a massive frontal assault. Under relentless fire, only a handful reach the Union line before being repulsed. The charge fails. Lee's invasion is over. Gettysburg is the Confederacy's high water mark. After this, its fortunes only decline. 6 months after Pearl Harbor, Japan seeks to destroy the U.S. Pacific Fleet at Midway. Yamamoto's complex plan assumes American ignorance, but U.S. codebreakers know everything: timing, targets, order of battle. Outnumbered, the Americans have only 3 carriers. Early attacks by U.S. torpedo bombers are slaughtered, but they draw Japanese fighters down. At that moment, American dive bombers arrive overhead. In 5 minutes, 3 Japanese carriers are ablaze. A 4th is sunk soon after. Japan loses its best carriers and irreplaceable pilots. The tide of the Pacific War turns. Midway marks the beginning of Japan's long retreat. 732 AD. The Umayyad Caliphate pushes into France, threatening all of Western Europe. Charles Martel, the Hammer, gathers disciplined Frankish infantry and chooses a wooded, elevated battlefield. The Muslim cavalry charges uphill, but the Frankish wall of ice holds. After hours of brutal fighting, a rumor of a camp raid spreads among the Umayyads. Some break off. Abd al-Rahman is killed trying to rally them. The Muslim army collapses and retreats under cover of night. Charles Martel's victory halts the northward expansion of Islamic power into Europe. In 480 BC, Xerxes' vast Persian Empire invades Greece, burning the city of Athens to the ground. Themistocles, the cunning Athenian leader, lures the Persian fleet into the narrow, treacherous straits of Salamis. He deceives Xerxes into believing the Greeks will flee, prompting the Persians to block all possible exits. The massive Persian fleet crowds into the strait, unable to maneuver or escape. Greek triremes ram and smash the disorganized Persian ships with relentless force. Xerxes watches helplessly from afar as his mighty fleet is destroyed. The victory at Salamis shatters Persian naval power and saves the independence of Greece. The very foundations of Western civilization are preserved for future generations. 8 days of terror and blood that changed the human story. From Salamis to Waterloo, each battle was a fulcrum, more than just military history. These clashes shaped languages, religions, and political ideas. The outcomes are written into our cultural DNA, our borders, our sense of self. History is never inevitable. It's built on moments where everything could have gone the other way. Which battle do you think was most decisive? Did we miss one? Let us know in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going about these turning points in our shared past.